If you love dogs like I do, you'll understand the importance of caring for our furry family members. But sadly, though, so many dogs are waiting to be adopted from pet rescue organizations, and until they are, those shelters need our help. I'm John O'Hurley, and I'm asking you to donate $11 a month to the Puppy Food Bank. Your $11 donation will allow them to provide pet food to Texas pet shelters in need. So please donate $11 today at puppyfoodbank.org. And I'll send you this special gift as well.
Let's get to some headlines, Pickle, from across the state of Texas, shall we? We will start in the the college football ranks.
Mm-hmm.
The college football ranks. As there are a variety of reports. This starts with this, which is last week after the national championship game, it came out pretty quickly that Garrett Riley, the offensive coordinator for TCU, was going to be leaving. And he already had a job lined up. He was going to go be the new offensive coordinator at Clemson. That, TCU obviously a great year, but I also feel like there's no real doubt that Clemson is on that very, very, very short list of elite programs. TCU's hoping to get there, but this does feel like a step up. He's certainly, I know for a fact he's making more money by going to Clemson.
And he's about to get to work with Cade Klubnik.
He's going to work with Cade Klubnik. There's a lot of
rules.
So Garrett Riley is leaving his spot as offensive coordinator. And so, of course, now this is a troubling time to be looking for an offensive coordinator because the coaching carousel is kind of slowed, if not done. And almost every hire has already been made, and so TCU is kind of last to the table. And a lot of these programs who have already been looking, who have needed offensive coordinators, have already hired offensive coordinators. So there is a variety of names being bandied about, but the name that has been kicked around the most, and has been there are reports out there that they are eyeing this guy, is Kendal Briles to be the new offensive coordinator at TCU. Kendal Briles, of course, is the son of former Baylor coach Art Briles. He is 40 years old, if you're interested in that.
He's older than I thought he was.
Yeah. He is most recently the offensive coordinator at Arkansas, where he was for 2020, 2021, and 2022. There's a great piece up on TexasFootball.com I hope you will read about the TCU fan reaction to these reports, which I think is best described as mixed. Kendal Briles obviously is a name out there as far as offensive coordinators are concerned. He was offensive coordinator there at Florida State. He was there at Houston for a year.
From the X and O's perspective, he knows his stuff.
I'll get to that here in a moment. You're not wrong. I'll get to that in a moment. We would be remiss if we didn't bring up the first thing that should come up whenever the last name Briles is brought up, which is the Baylor scandal, which is and his role in it. He was pretty heavily implicated in the 2016 Baylor football scandal. Some very unfortunate text messages came out. Essentially, I won't go into it. But,
yeah, let's not.
But he had a pretty clear and obvious role in the scandal that ended up ending Art Briles' collegiate career, at least for now. He bounced back relatively quickly as well, going to FAU after a year off, where he was where Lane Kiffin he was Lane Kiffin's offensive coordinator for a year. But he was implicated pretty heavily in the Baylor scandal of 2016. That is rubbing a lot of TCU fans the wrong way. Also, the fact that TCU doesn't like Baylor to begin with, and he kind of he's kind of been this the Briles family, and the Briles is considered more or less taboo. Here's what's concerning to me, and not concerning, but strange to me. And that is that I'm not sure that like Kendal Briles is like so absolutely amazing that you can't pass up the opportunity to hire him.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that I mean, this past year, total offense, against FBS opponents, they were 17th in the nation in total offense, which is good, right? I don't know.
I mean, it's comparable.
He's a good offensive coordinator. I do not know, my opinion, this is Greg Tepper editorializing here. I do not know that he is such a transcendent offensive mind that you can't possibly pass up the opportunity to hire him, considering all of the baggage that he would bring with him.
Yeah, I think that this is comparable in a very different scenario, but comparable in the conversation we were having about Bobby Petrino the other day of, hey, look, you tend to overlook that side of things. Again, two totally different scenarios in what happened. But in the same conversation, Bobby Petrino is seen as this offensive wizard that Jimbo felt like he couldn't pass up. I agree, and I don't think that Briles, from a X's and O's perspective, is on that same level.
Right. Yeah. I just... and I think that there's a lot of consternation at the TCU side that I think they really need to consider. And it will be interesting to see what happens, but that is the reports out there is that TCU is eyeing Kendal Briles to be our next offensive coordinator. He would be he would return to the Big 12 if that were the case. So keep an eye on that. Elsewhere, as far as headlines are concerned, this reporting from our own Ashley Pickle.
Yeah.
It's a pickle bomb. This came down late last week that sources are indicating to Dave Campbell's Texas Football's Ashley Pickle that the UIL is about to be in the market for a new athletic director, as Dr. Susan Elza is reportedly on the verge of leaving to take a position on the staff at Nebraska for Coach Matt Rule. Dr. Elza has been the athletic director since 2016, I believe it was.
She was named in 15.
2015.
But I think she technically kind of took the reins in 16.
Yes. 2016. And I won't hide my feelings. I like Dr. Elza. We've had great conversations. She's somebody that has been good to Dave Campbell's Texas Football, and I think has been a positive for the Texas high school football world. She was also the first woman to be the athletic director of the UIL, which I think is notable as well. She really commanded across the Texas high school football coaches world a lot of respect. I think that there were some questions as to whether or not football coaches would embrace a female athletic director of the UIL, and I don't think there's any doubt that they have. And a lot of that has to do not only with the coaches, who I think have been open-minded about it, but also the fact that she's obviously pretty good at her job. She's a great relationship with the Texas High School Coaches Association. She's a former athletic director at Northwest ISD.
She's done a lot of stuff for sports, not football, as well.
Yes,
which is
as well.
huge.
That is worth mentioning. We focus on the football side,
yeah.
But for
There's
all
so
sports
much
across the
other.
UIL, she's done a lot. So she is being eyed as the chief of staff at Nebraska. This is carbon copy. This is Xeroxed from what Matt Rule did at Baylor.
Which, again, had a lot of success.
When he arrived at Baylor, go listen back to the tape we did the day after he was hired. When he got hired, we said, all right, here's a Yankee who all of a sudden wants to recruit in Texas. He's got to go, and he's got to find some people who are going to vouch for him. And so he went out, and he hired Joey McGuire, and he hired David Wetzel. Okay? Joey McGuire, the head coach of Cedar Hill. David Wetzel, the head coach of San Antonio Reagan, as well as the president of the Texas High School Coaches Association at the time. Matt Rule now, after a stint at the Carolina Panthers, now back in the college ranks, wants to continue recruiting in Texas. So he hires Bob Wager, longtime, successful, respected DFW area head coach.
18 years he spent at Arlington Martin.
Does that sound familiar? Very Joey McGuire. That's the DFW guy. Then, who's going to be the Wetzel? Who's going to be the statewide guy? Who's going to be the person who has the appeal of all, who represents all of the Texas high school football coaches? Well, it's not a he. Instead, it's Dr. Elza, who is a statewide figure and a well-respected figure in Texas high school football circles across the state of Texas. This is carbon copy from what he did at Baylor.
I mean,
and if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
If it worked the first time as well as it did, there's no reason to change it up now.
He also hired Garrett McGuire, who played for him at Baylor, Joey McGuire's son,
to be the wide receivers coach.
Anyway, that has not come down officially, but sources are indicating to our own Ashley Pickle that Dr. Elza will be leaving the UIL to become the athletic director, or rather to become that'll be the news, to become the chief of staff for Nebraska and under Matt Rule. So certainly interesting there. This came down last week. We need to give our flowers to Ray Biles.
Yeah.
Ray Biles, the long time head coach at Lorena, has announced his retirement.
What, 32 years?
31 years.
31.
All as the head coach at Lorena.
Yeah.
31 years at Lorena. He is one of only, this was in the story that we wrote on TexasFootball.com. He is on a very short list. He's on a very, very, very short list of coaches who have coached for more than... He's one of 23 coaches in Texas high school football history to coach 30 or more years at a single season, or a single school, right? He ranks 84th all-time in Texas high school football wins with 207. He's taking over in 1992. And certainly Ray Biles is, again, one of the most respected and one of the most beloved figures in Central Texas high school football. He is like the dean of coaches in Central Texas.
That's what they call him.
I've said this before, that when they played in the state championship game back in 2021, I went up to a suite that one of the coaches, I don't remember who was paying for it, one of the suites, but it was all Central Texas coaches. And so Lorena was playing Brock, and I swear if you had mentioned one positive thing about Brock, you might have been thrown over the rail. That was unabashedly a pro-Lorena, pro-Ray Biles, simply because of Coach Biles.
Right.
That everyone was pulling for him to finally get that state championship. He did, of course, in 2021, got that state championship. And I feel like that is going to be the headline on his career, is like, 2021 state champion. I think there's a bigger story to be told there of a mutual appreciation for one another between a coach and a community.
Yep.
There were times where it wasn't always sunshine and daffodils for Ray Biles at Lorena. There were some rough stretches. And there may have been times, Matt Stepp mentioned this on our recent episode of Tep and Step, there may have been other school boards that might have said, you know what, you've been here for 15 years, it's time for a
it's time
change. And Lorena ISD stuck with him. Furthermore, you know for a fact that Ray Biles' phone rang for other positions. And he said, no, I've made a home here. I want to be at Lorena. And I think that he and Lorena as a whole are a testament to a long, fruitful relationship that keeps building brick by brick. And what you saw over the twilight of his career there, where he continued to turn them into a perennial power, eventually ending in a state championship, I think is a testament to both of their commitment to one another. And it's both ways. And I think that is a Texas high school football success story at Lorena. And we certainly wish Coach Biles the best, who's just one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. Yeah. No kidding. The next bad thing you hear about about Ray Biles will be the first. He's good people. So anyway, that's we wish him the very best in retirement. Speaking of retirement, this came down just recently. We don't have lower third for this, but it came down this morning that Bridgeland head coach David Rathfield is retiring. He announced his retirement. He, of course, led Cy Falls to a state championship back in 2006. coached there for 7 years, went off to A&M Consolidated for 6 years before returning to Cy-Fair ISD to launch the Bridgeland program. Where,
Obviously had success
very
there.
successful in their kind of nascent stages and things like that. And so, but we wish David Rathfield the very best. He's retiring after 19 years as the head coach there. Bridgeland A&M Consolidated.
Another really good guy. Man, my favorite thing about Rathfield was he was not scared to give anybody a hard time, but that's how you knew that he liked you.
Yeah,
if he was making jokes at you, then you were in on it.
Yes. And then finally, I want to bring this up. There's another from the coaching ranks, and that is that Texas Tech may be on the verge of hiring. In fact, they are hiring a new wide receivers coach. Joey McGuire is going to hire Baylor assistant Justin Johnson to be their next wide receivers coach and assistant head coach. Emmett Jones was their wide receivers coach and a passing game coordinator. Or rather, he left to go take the same job, essentially, at Oklahoma. This is first reported by our friends at Football Scoop. Johnson is a guy who was a star at Houston before he got in the coaching world. He was an assistant at Baylor, and now is going to be the wide receivers coach and assistant head coach there at Texas Tech. So they have hired their new wide receiver coach. It's going to be Justin Johnson. Obviously worked together with Joey McGuire during his time there at Baylor. So there you have it. There's some headlines from across the state of Texas. We've got you covered at texasfootball.com. Hey, thanks for watching this clip here on YouTube. If you like this kind of stuff and you want more of it, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And remember, you can watch us live every weekday at noon at texasfootball.com, Facebook, Twitch, or here on YouTube. And if you want more of the best coverage of football in the state of Texas, check out texasfootball.com and become a Dave Campbell's Texas Football Insider at texasfootball.com/subscribe.